The PS5 Pro is approaching an official reveal and is expected to revitalize the existing game library of the console thanks to its more powerful hardware. Sony has reportedly set the requirements that developers need to meet for a game to be classified as PS5 Pro Enhanced. But what can we expect from the new PlayStation 5 console? The PS5 Pro will be able to increase the target resolution of titles running at a fixed or variable resolution on the PS5, such as allowing a game to reach 4K instead of 1440p. It will also allow developers to increase the frame rate for titles that may fall short of their goal. Additionally, developers can add more ray tracing effects to PS5 games and improve overall performance. The PS5 Pro is promising a lot, and in today's video, I will bring you 10 games that will showcase the true power of the PS5 Pro. So subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Star Wars Jedi Survivor was released with some performance issues on the PS5, featuring an unstable frame rate and a native resolution of 900p, according to early reviews. With the 60 FPS mode enabled, the game reached a native resolution of 648p, achieving 1440p due to FSR2 technology with upscaling. With the extra power of the PS5 Pro, the game could achieve native 1440p resolution or 4K upscaling while maintaining a fixed 60 frames per second, which would be a dream and greatly improve the gaming experience. Additionally, the game could include a ray tracing mode, lowering the resolution slightly, perhaps to 1080p, while maintaining a fixed 60 frames per second, which would be ideal for an action game like this. Cyberpunk 2077 looks great on the PS5 but falls short of the visual splendor that PC players can enjoy. This is mainly due to the console version's limited ray tracing support, which only covers local shadows and is almost imperceptible. Compare this to the PC, where you can get ray trace reflections, lighting, and path tracing, and it's like playing a completely new game. To make matters worse, the PS5 version drops to 30 frames per second when ray tracing is enabled, which is not worth it for slightly nicer shadows. The PS5 Pro should allow Cyberpunk 2077 to run at a higher frame rate, while still supporting ray tracing. The performance mode resolution, which revolves around 1008p to 1440p according to Digital Foundry, should also be able to reach 4K using the new PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution upscaling of the PS5 Pro. The highly anticipated sequel to Grand Theft Auto V from Rockstar is expected to break all kinds of records when it is released in 2025 and is easily one of the most anticipated games of all time. If Sony can confidently say that the PS5 Pro is the best place to play GTA 6, that will be a big incentive for some people to upgrade to Sony's new hardware or buy a PlayStation 5 Pro immediately. There is no doubt that the PS5 Pro will be able to offer a superior version of GTA 6 compared to the standard release on the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X. But don't expect a dramatic difference. A higher resolution target will be the most obvious benefit, but we may also see GTA 6 being part of the list of PS5 games with ray tracing support, and perhaps a 60 frames per second performance mode if Rockstar takes advantage of the power of the new Sony console. Rise of the Ronin was an ambitious game that promised stunning graphics and a vast open world but delivered performance issues such as frame rate drops and freezes. In quality mode, there were drops of up to 20 frames per second, making the game unstable and difficult to play. The more powerful hardware of the PS5 Pro should reduce stuttering and freezing. The new console will be able to load high-quality textures more quickly, which should eliminate texture pop-in. With the extra processing power, Rise of the Ronin could run smoothly at a fixed 60 frames per second. Additionally, the ray tracing mode could have better shadows and reflections, increasing performance to a fixed 40 frames per second. Gran Turismo 7 is already a graphical showcase for the Sony console and one of the best PS5 games. However, the PS5 Pro can take it to the next level. Even though the game supports 120Hz, PSVR 2, and fully utilizes the DualSense controller of the PS5, it only has ray tracing during replays. The PS5 Pro promises to deliver up to 4x improvement in ray tracing performance, which may finally allow Polyphony Digital to add ray trace reflections in races for the first time and rival companies like Forza Motorsport. Although Final Fantasy XVI is a visually stunning game, some players have reported performance issues on the PS5, such as significant frame rate drops, especially during action scenes or in areas with a lot of detail. A more powerful PS5 Pro could improve the performance of Final Fantasy XVI in several ways. The new console could provide a more stable frame rate, even during action scenes or in areas with a lot of detail. Additionally, a PS5 Pro could allow developers to add additional graphical features to the game, such as high-resolution textures and more realistic lighting effects. Alan Wake 2 is an impressive graphical showcase on the PS5 but pushes the Sony console to its limits. As a result, it does not feature any ray tracing like on PC, which has a transformative effect on the game's visuals. Additionally, the quality and performance modes fail to maintain a consistent frame rate throughout, with image quality having a noticeable impact when running the game in performance mode. While adding ray tracing to Alan Wake may be a step too far even for the PS5 Pro, the more powerful hardware should at least allow the game to achieve a higher resolution and a more stable frame rate in both modes. Dragon's Dogma 2 is one of the few PS5 games that cannot reach 60 frames per second, but could that change on the PS5 Pro? There is a chance that the additional graphical power of the PlayStation 5 could allow Dragon's Dogma 2 to run at a higher frame rate if Capcom is willing to make an update for the new console. Running a game at 60 frames per second has become the preferred option for many, especially since there are many PS5 games with 120 frames per second support as well. Dragon's Dogma 2 is unfortunately lacking when it comes to frame rate in this generation, and I hope the PS5 Pro can help it achieve the standard 60 frames per second that we all appreciate.
Make manifest your will, that at last this world might.
Hold fast to your strength of will, Arisen One. Those who can be of aid to you will reveal themselves in time.
Elden Ring, despite being a critically acclaimed game, suffers from some performance issues on the PS5. Some players have reported frame rate drops to around 30 to 40 FPS, especially in areas with many enemies, such as during intense combat, or when exploring densely populated areas. Loading times, while fast, can take a few seconds, especially when transitioning between areas or loading the game from the main menu. Perhaps with the Pro version, we can have instant map loading as we saw in Spider-Man 2. The PS5 Pro, with its enhanced hardware, can potentially mitigate performance issues in Elden Ring. The new console can help maintain a smoother frame rate and reduce stuttering, while maintaining a constant 60 frames per second. Gotham Knights is one of the few PS5 games that runs at a fixed 30 frames per second, and worst of all, with frequent drops. The game was a tremendous disappointment at its launch, but the PS5 Pro can greatly improve it. To start, it is clear that the game should have had a performance mode at its launch with 60 frames per second. Perhaps with the release of the new console, the developer will be motivated to make an update, taking advantage of the extra power of the new console. We can expect a 1440p resolution with a constant 60 frames per second and maybe some improved lighting effects. This would already be great considering that the standard PS5 runs at 30 frames per second and native 4K.
Got you a present!
Are you excited about the release of the PS5 Pro? Do you plan to buy it at launch? Tell me everything in the comments because I want to know. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like, okay? I'll be signing off for now. Take care and see you next time.